There are times when I can't remember where I placed these glasses. There are times where I can't remember where I put my cell phone. But I have such vivid recollections of the events of a decade ago, 9/11, 2001. I remember the weather as perfect as it gets, crisp, clear, not a cloud in the sky, September at its best. I remember the atmosphere in the newsroom almost tranquil as we all faced what we knew would be the defining day of our careers, and as the world we thought we knew changed so dramatically, so quickly. I remember the Spitfire series of bulletins from the wire services, so rapid that it was virtually impossible to keep up. I remember, along with my friend Mike Donahue, being both producer of our wall-to-wall coverage and being its detached observer, trying to decide which breathtaking event should receive priority over other breathtaking events. I remember the truly stunning reporting from our two correspondents who had first reached the World Trade Center, Kaye and Pamela McCall. I remember the outstanding work of our anchor, the always cool and calm Dan Levine. I remember the breakdown of the telecommunications infrastructure in New York City, having to rely on the same technology we normally employ in third world countries, satellite phones, to bring in reports from correspondents just a few miles from our studios. I remember at some point early in our coverage turning to my boss, Harvey Nager, who was standing next to me at the control room console and saying, "You know this means war." And Harvey nodding in agreement, although neither of us knew at that point precisely who it was we were supposed to go to war with. I remember our mounting concern for our colleagues in the newsroom who we knew had friends and relatives who worked at the World Trade Center. I remember how, with the suspension of commercial air service, we had to move correspondents around the country by train or ask them to drive for a good part of a day and a night to reach an assignment. I remember our White House correspondent, Martin Miller, being stranded in Florida after President Bush, who had been reading to school children that morning, was suddenly whisked away to an undisclosed location. I remember not knowing if the attacks of that day were over or if we were just at the beginning of our national nightmare. I remember after producing 16 hours of continuous coverage, finally visiting the men's room for a moment and wondering whether anyone kept a record book of those sorts of things. I remember finally going home the next morning to get a few hours sleep and seeing that American flags had blossomed everywhere like flowers after the desert rains. And after my nap, I remember my walk back to work and passing by a firehouse where little kids had tacked thank you notes to the walls. And I remember passing by Roosevelt Hospital in New York where relatives and friends had put up posters with photos of their missing loved ones. And I remember at that point my emotions finally catching up with me. Our coverage of 9/11 won the 2001 Edward R. Murrow Overall Excellence Award from the Radio Television News Directors Association. And the RTNDA's continuing coverage honors not only for 9/11, but for the subsequent and very courageous reporting from Afghanistan and Pakistan by CBS News radio correspondents Kimberly Dozier and Lara Logan. Our 15-part series, 1 month later, The Change in Us, received the Best News Series Award from the RTDNF. It is an honor to again have our shop recognized tonight. And on behalf of all the men and women of CBS Radio News who work in New York and Washington and around the world, and on behalf of our outstanding bosses like Harvey Nager and Constance Lloyd, who have guided us with skill through the changing media landscape of recent years, it is my honor to accept. Thank you.